Morning, everybody. This is Tim Melvin of Banking on Profits down here in Central Florida coming to you. Going to be a gorgeous day down here today. It's going to get back up into the mid 80s. Of course, I was in Chicago most of last week. As many of you know, my first granddaughter was born, so I was up there dog sitting and running errands and just kind of doing all the things that the kids needed me to do for the week. And I had the joy of walking the dog in about 10-degree temperatures one morning. Was very excited about that. Now, we're going back up this weekend. We're going up for Christmas, going to spend it with the kids and the new grandbaby and begin the lifelong spoiling process that Granddad's going to put in place for that beautiful little girl. And looking at the weather forecast, I'm going to spend a lot of time outside here between now and Friday, when Saturday morning we fly up to Chicago. It's going to be in the 80s. For Christmas Day next week, it's going to be a high of 20, and that's going to be one of the warmer days of next week, the day after Christmas in Chicago. The high is projected to be a just stunning 14 degrees. Absolutely cannot wait. Probably going to have to buy a jacket or a coat in the airport because I don't think I own one anymore. So anyway, that's about what's going on around the house on the personal side. On the portfolio side, last time we talked, we were hoping we'd get another takeover, get us up to a dozen for the year. Well, I got to tell you, 12, 13, and 14 happened really quick. We had a nice flurry of takeovers so far in December. 14 for the year across all three portfolios: Bonus Banks, the main portfolio, and Focus Banks in the Community Bank Stock Investor, the monthly publication. So it's been a really strong year for us, with Bonus Banks and Focus Banks both just having stunning returns, and the main portfolio pretty much matching the market once again with a lot less risk. What's really neat is I looked at all three portfolios this morning. We still do not have a loser in any of the three. There's not one long-term losing position, and we've never sold a stock at a loss in any of our three portfolios. Now, personally, I think that's pretty impressive. We have betas well below 1, so we're achieving higher returns with less risk than the overall market. I think that's pretty exciting, and I hope you guys do too. For those of you that are not already subscribers, going to get the sales pitch out of the way. Go to Banking on Profits. So it's just go to marketvice.com, search on the site for Banking on Profits. Use coupon code BOP4 FOR $4.99, and you get the whole package. Okay, this is a holiday offer. Celebrate the new granddaughter, whatever. I'm in a great mood. We're going to do a year-end offer. It's going to be gone at midnight on December 31st. BOP4 $4.99. You get Banking on Profits, the trade alert service, everything that goes with that. There's a description, on MarketFi the product, so you can kind of figure it out. And you also get the Community Bank Stock Investor. If you've recently subscribed to the Community Bank Stock Investor and you want to upgrade, shoot me an email through the website, and we'll get that taken care of and get you credit for the $1.99 you spent on Community Bank Stock Investor. Remember, if you want to do this, do it quick because it's not going to last long. It's kind of a year-end deal. Fill out the couple of slots that we have left. No matter what happens, New Year's Eve or sooner, I'll close this deal. So if you're interested, act quick. We've outperformed the market consistently. We've done so with less risk. At this price, I have no idea why you would not subscribe. Anyway, moving right along, seeing great numbers in the housing market this week. Housing starts, highest level in a decade. Builders' confidence, highest level in a decade. This morning we saw existing home sales that were the highest in 11 years. Now, ordinarily that might make me think, oh boy, it's a little too strong. But you know what? We're not really back to the total home sale levels of 2006. So we're still way behind where we were 10 years ago. It's getting better. It's getting a lot better. But it is a long, slow, grinding process. New home sales and new home starts, that's exciting because seeing that at a decade high is a huge plus for the economy and for our banks. And the reason I say that is not only do we see more lending activity, but new home construction creates good paying jobs. There's all sorts of money being spent, various suppliers and other folks in the community. So people supplying the building trades are doing well. It's a net positive for the economy. Anything that's a net positive for the local economy is pretty good for the local banks. So really, kind of pleased with what I see going on in the housing market. I've said all along it's going to be a long, slow process. We did not V-bottom coming out of 2009. It's taken some time to get to these levels. Even now, as millennials, for the first time, are starting to think, well, maybe I do want to get married, settle down, have a couple kids, and buy a place. So we're starting to see some of that come into the market. I think with tax reform, which, they're going to pass that today. The president will sign it this week. Some of the high states, we're already seeing that because starts activity is highest in some of the southern states and some of the lower tax states out west. California surprisingly continues to do well. Folks just like living there and seem to be willing to pay for it. But we're going to see, excuse me, I think some continued exodus out of the high tax northeastern states into lower tax southern states. So, being a southern home builder is probably a pretty good thing. We own a lot of southeast banks, so we're pretty happy about that as well. So, anyway, the housing market, if the housing market's good, doing well, that means the economy is going to do well. Don't get too excited. It's not going to go gangbusters, but I don't think we're going to go backwards anytime either. And we got a Fed rate cut this week. Rate hike, I'm sorry. Market didn't react to it again. Eventually, one of these hikes, the market's going to react to the fact that interest rates are higher. However, we're a long way away from that. And I know people are talking about the flattening yield curve this week. And, the last time the curve flattened out, rates were over 5%. Actually, they were over 6%. So short rates coming up when, absolute level of rates is fairly high, that's a problem. Short rates coming up when the 10 years at 2.37%, not as big a problem for the economy. I think we could continue to chug along here as long as the Fed doesn't do anything stupid. Yeah, I know. There's always a good possibility the Fed will do something stupid and raise too quickly in 2018. We've got John Powell coming on. He's, as the new Fed chair, he's an ex-private equity guy from Carlisle. So I think he's probably got a good idea of the right measured pace to raise rates. So I'm cautiously optimistic about the economy. The stock market, I've said it all along, guys, the stock market's too high here. We're trading at 25 times earnings. Earnings for many of the large U.S. companies after the little tax bump that we get here. They're growing single digits, basically, especially with the larger blue chips. I don't see a lot of pockets of exciting growth, especially outside of technology. And technology is just, priced for absolute perfection. However, having said that, there may not be a lot of new stuff to buy in the broader market, and we've seen that in the banks. We're down to about 15 stocks on the Banking on Profits main portfolio list each week. That was probably closer to 30 a year ago. And we really haven't, done much with the small bonus banks in recent weeks, just because we're not getting the absolute level of valuation. We're close on a few, so don't be surprised if some pop up. And it's getting a little harder to find focus picks each and every month that fit our criteria. Now we're going to keep working hard. We're going to find them. It's just taking me a little bit longer to get that done. So there is a sense of overvaluation in the stock market, and I think an index fund buyer here is really going to regret his decision 5 years from now. But there's no reason for stocks to go down. The Fed is moving at a measured pace. The economy is showing signs of improvement. Their bankers are not doing anything stupid. There's not horribly excessive amounts of leverage in the financial system. So I don't see the recipe that we need for a true meltdown of the markets. I wish I saw it. I wish we were going to get a meltdown in the markets. I would love to see a huge drop in the markets. We're still hedged, and probably going to add to that hedge as we move into the new year to carry it all the way out to 2019. So falling market prices don't bother me very much, but the creation of potential bargains, that excites me quite a bit. We'll see how 2018 plays out. The only real risk to this market is geopolitical in nature right now. I think something going wrong with Russia, always a chance of something going wrong with China. They're being very aggressive, especially in the South China Sea. I'm shocked that not more has been made of the Chinese president's comments that he expects in 3 decades China to be the dominant global power. Nobody seems to have picked up on it. The only way they can be the dominant global power is to move us down a couple notches. Long term, that actually is a little disconcerting, but so far it's not anything that the market wants to worry about. So we're just going to go along. We're buying banks, quality, strong banks at low valuations, fantastic prices that have some catalyst for something good to happen, be it a buyback, a raised dividend, or this outright sale of the bank. We prefer the outright sale of the bank. Obviously, that's our favorite thing to do, is have a takeover in the bank portfolio. So everything's humming along. We're in a pretty good place. We do have a few bonus banks still worth buying, 14, 15 stocks a week on the buy list, which should be out probably Friday morning for subscribers. So there you go. So tax cut is going to get signed. All in all, it's a good deal for small banks. Should add between 10 to 15% to the bottom lines of most of the community banks that we own. So we're excited about that. And just going into the Christmas week, getting ready to freeze up there in Chicago. Going to enjoy my couple more days of nice Florida temperatures. I've gotten really allergic to the cold. If it wasn't for that beautiful granddaughter, I don't think you could talk me into being in Chicago in December. So, all right, reading. Actually, finished some pretty good books over the last week. First, let me tell you about my new reading system, we'll call it. I decided I wanted to read a lot more nonfiction over the next couple years. And I go through a lot of nonfiction books, and there's half-finished books all over the house. My wife's not a big fan of that. But so what I've done is every day, I do a lot of recreational reading. I do not watch a lot of television, especially when it's not baseball season. So I'm a big reader. But now what I've done is when I sit down to read, I have to pick a nonfiction book, and I have to do a certain number of pages based on the length of the book, 25, 30 pages in the nonfiction book before I can go to my recreational reading. And boy, it's been fantastic. We got all the way through the Grant book by Ron Chernow, just because that was so good. We exceeded our daily limit on several occasions before moving on to more brain candy type of reading around here. We plowed through a ton of the half-read books around the house, and we're moving on to some new ground. So you can follow those, by the way. You can follow me on Goodreads.com, and you can see what I'm reading both on the nonfiction side and on the more recreational fiction side. On the recreational side, a fellow named Joe Ide has written two books. One's called IQ and one called Righteous. This is the new generation Easy Rollins guys, Walter Mosley's famous black detective in Los Angeles, set in the 50s and 60s. These are set in modern times. Fascinating characters, great storylines, extraordinarily well-written books. IQ and Righteous. Those are the first two he's got out. Highly recommend them. I would order those today if you're looking for some reading over the upcoming holiday week. Let's see. P.J. O'Rourke's new book on the 2016 election. How in the hell did that happen? What a fantastic read. P.J. O'Rourke has always been one of my favorite authors. He's funny. He's insightful. He kind of pokes holes in some of what's going on in politics today. If you really want to understand a little bit better exactly what happened in 2016 and laugh out loud quite a few times in the process, I recommend that you pick that one up as well. Let's have a new James Swain out. We haven't talked about him because he hadn't had a book out in a while, but he's one of my favorite writers. All of his books are set around, the gambling world, the underworld. A lot of them are set in the Tony Valentine series in Atlantic City. But they're all gambling based, having to do with cons and grifts and gambling, and they're just fun to read. And so the latest in the Billy Cunningham series is out. I finished it the other night. What a great book. Highly recommend that you go back. If you're going to do the Cunningham books, start with book number 1 and work forward. Same thing if you do the Tony Valentine series of books. Go back and start with the first one, work your way forward. Great reads. I'm pretty sure that if you have any interest at all in gambling and math and in con games that are run all over the world and like a good story, you're going to like the books. So there we go. Okay, baseball. This is getting tough, okay? Judge, Stanton, Sanchez, Bird, that's going to be the heart of the New York Yankees lineup next year. Unfortunately for me, my Baltimore Orioles, we play in that division. We haven't done much in the offseason. I think they're trying to move Manny Machado for some good young pitching. It's the right thing to do, although I certainly hate to see Manny Machado leave. but I don't think we can afford to keep him at the end of the 2018 year. If he has better numbers than last year, and I'm sure he will, it's going to cost $30 million a year to keep that young man on the roster, and Baltimore just doesn't have that kind of payroll. So I guess we have to trade him now, get some good young arms, and just figure out what to do with the New York Yankees. They are a powerhouse baseball team right now going into the new year. So are the Los Angeles Angels. They got Ohtani from Japan. They've made some smart pickups at the corners. They've got Mike Trout. If their pitching holds up at all, the American League West is going to now be facing some of the same problems those of us in the East are going to look at with the New York Yankees. It's been an interesting offseason. It's been fun to watch, except for that whole Judge Stanton thing. And we'll see what happens. Derek Jeter has gone from the most loved guy in New York City to the most despised guy in Miami, as he has systematically dismantled the heart of the Miami Marlins. Again, it's not popular, but I think it's the right thing to do. They were never going to be able to put together a lineup and a staff to compete with the very much improved Philadelphia Phillies. They're still fantastic Washington Nationals. And let's be honest, the always dangerous New York Mets. If they put it together in any given year, they've got the talent to win. Miami wasn't going to compete with that on its current course. They needed to reconfigure, do a Chicago-Houston type rebuild. Jeter's trying to do it, but boy, the fans down there sure just do not like it. So, again, the hot stove has been a lot of fun to watch. Still more to come. Bunch of free agents still unsigned. We'll see how it shakes out. Boy, I'm just not happy about what the Yankees have done, I got to tell you. So, anyway, coming into the Christmas season, this is one of my favorite times of year. And, we're not going to be able to have our annual Christmas party this year, and I'm kind of bummed about that. But we'll all be together. The whole family's going up to Chicago, and we'll drink some wine, tell some stories, and eat too much food, and enjoy that new grandbaby. And I hope you and yours are also planning for a fantastic holiday season, whichever one of the holidays you happen to celebrate. Hopefully you're going to be able to stay warmer than I am with that lovely 14-degree high temperature day. At least I don't have to walk the dog this time around. So probably not sure I'll get another video done next week. In case you haven't noticed, we don't really have a schedule for these. Some of you like the videos, some of you don't. So if you like them, watch them. If you don't, don't. And I'll continue to do them when the mood strikes and I feel like I have something to talk about. Anyway, if you're not already a subscriber or you want to upgrade from the monthly to the complete package, it's coupon code BOP4, F-O-R, $4.99 when you go to the checkout. If you need to upgrade, you need to shoot me or customer service an email, and we'll get you taken care of. Have a fantastic week.